Okay, music can go down. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Namaste. Good to see everybody. Hello. Thank you for that. Really good to be in the sacred space with you to look at these deeper aspects of ourselves together and realize that they're really one and the same self. Experiencing different forms temporarily, but nevertheless, the oneness remains. The song remains the same. I think there's going to be a little bit of a rock and roll theme, at least. There's Led Zeppelin. We're going to go to Queensryche in just a moment. Because what we're finding here is it's kind of this idea that the Holy Spirit or the Great Spirit speaks through all mediums, right? And everything becomes the message when you are awakened to listening for it, looking for it. The great Mahasiddha Naropa was told by his guru Talopa, the path is the guru. That your life that you're living, the guru is showing up on your path every instant. The guru takes every form and no form, voice and no voice, image and no image. The guru is always speaking directly to your heart in the most intimate and direct and immediate way. Are you listening? Are you awake to sense the voice of the guru coming to you? And what is it saying? And so this is one of the things that we're about on a Sunday morning, is clearing the static so that we can get the message that's always coming through multiple mediums. And so the idea today is going to go from Queensryche, as I had mentioned. It's going to flow into Rumi, who's pretty much a constant feature for us on Sunday mornings. That the big-heartedness of Rumi is going to bring a lot of light and expansion. And then we're going to look into the Chinese Chan, or Zen, as it's said in Japanese, Zen Buddhist tradition, which is really the best, in my opinion, because it's the best approach of clearing the mind, because it's the most direct. There's no BS in Zen or Chan. It's you are already that, and you embody it by actually letting everything that you're not go. And this becomes your avenue into the moment, what in Chan is called the origin moment. And that means that there's a part of your mind, or the deepest nature that you are right now, where your listening is coming from, that is literally at that nexus point or borderland between the infinite and the finite. You are that origin moment of manifestation. You are the mystery. You are the Buddha. You are Christ mind. This is one of the things that we're really starting to allow more and more into our collective culture, right? It used to always be that we had, like what Freud would refer to as an externalization defense, right? We felt maybe so unworthy or so small or so little, and as a result of that, on the inside, we couldn't accept the grandeur and the beauty and the bliss and the holiness on the inside. So we had to look out there for it, right? It was a building, it was a book, it was a priest, it was a guru, and somebody else, not me. And now we're getting to a place that's been long prophesied. I know Alice Bailey, in her books on the ageless wisdom, the Tibetan was saying in those books many years ago that the age of the one guy in the front of the room is over. So what the heck are we doing? It's really about the collective now, that we're starting to wake up to the collective Messiah, right? The collective enlightened being. And this is what we're going to embody, all of us together. And this is what ushers in the change of the eon, or the new age. We're here to do that. We're here to see that. To go through that oftentimes feels like a roller coaster. It might feel like the apocalypse. It might feel like, you're going on a white knuckle ride into ego death. But take heart. you will find that on the other side was everything you've been always wanting and looking for. And behold, right on cue. I have pyrotechnics too. They're going to be when I get into the rock and roll. I don't think that's it. Somebody bring me a microphone. Don't make me sing. Okay. So we're going back to this song from Queensryche. It's called Silent Lucidity. Has anybody ever heard of this? Yes, very good. Release date circa 1991. And I'm going to just read the second verse, the second part of the song. It's really something that they brought through. I mean, it just feels like it was a channeled song. Let's see. I'll pick it up here. There's a place I like to hide, a doorway that I run through in the night. Relax, child, you were there, but only didn't realize, and you were scared. It's a place where you will learn to face your fears, retrace the years, and ride the winds of your mind. Commanding in another world, suddenly you hear and see this magic new dimension. We'll be watching over you. I'm going to help to see it through. I will protect you in the night. I am smiling next to you in silent lucidity. If you open your mind for me, you won't rely on open eyes to see. The walls you built within come tumbling down, and a new world will begin. Living twice at once, you learn you're safe from pain in the dream domain, a soul set free to fly. A round-trip journey in your head. Master of illusion, can you realize your dreams alive? You can be the guide, but I will be watching over you. I will help to see it through. I will protect you in the night. I am smiling next to you in silent lucidity. Long live rock and roll. So that's our journey, this round-trip journey in our head, right? This is, as Jesus says so beautifully in the chorus, often quoted here, this is a journey without distance to a place that you've never left. That this journey into your awakened state is, we could say it this way, it already happened. You've never not been awake. And we are really good at confusing and deceiving ourselves into believing that we're not awake. And so this is what we're looking at here, is the paradox of coming up with a reaction to problems that don't really exist. Okay? You know, one of the great teachers of A Course in Miracles, Ken Wapnick, he said that this entire universe is actually that. It's a distraction machine. It's an imaginarium that is helping us so expertly deny that true nature within and keep us looking outside of ourselves for it. And he says that the universe itself is a way that the mind has tried to resolve this identity crisis, trying to look for itself in phenomena, in other bodies to find completion, to grab on and hold on to this solid me, so that the solid me can finally find its place and its belonging. And so the entire universe is designed this way, so that the solid me gets to have a playground. The trouble is that the solid me can never find what it's looking for, because the very nature of a solid me means that I'm constricted. And the emotion of constriction, in order to form this isolated self, is fear. So that's why whenever you're listening to your little self talk to you, is it, peaceful, awake, bright, all-inclusive, clear-seeing, insightful? No. It's regretting past, or judging, or criticizing, or forecasting trouble in the future. It's anxious. It's not settled. It feels threatened by so many things. Even a little glance from somebody, how dare she look at me like that? But we have these moments where we are always feeling unsettled or diseased. And we never associate it with the identity of gripping onto a solid me. And now what we're going to do is shift gears a little bit, because, like I said, we're going to go into Rumi, and Rumi is all about expanding the heart, right? If you open your mind for me, you won't rely on open eyes to see. The walls you built within come tumbling down. This tumbling down of the inner walls is giving up the fear of the solid me, and allowing that constricted energy, which is God's energy, it's just been constricted. When you let those walls down, naturally that constricted energy can flow and expand and move out and fill the space. And it rejoins its natural place, just like a flame naturally rises upward. Your constricted energy, when you allow those walls to come tumbling down, will flow out into the field, right? Into this great field that Rumi talks about. And this is the poem that many of you know. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. So when we release this gripping onto the solid me and we allow everything to relax and flow out, the fear is transformed, alchemized into love. And love, as we know, is the only other emotion, according to A Course in Miracles, that we can feel, which means that instead of constricting, we expand. Love is an expansive emotion, and it encompasses everything and everyone. And so the self goes from a fear-based, constricted, solid, little anxious me, neurotic to the core, seeking for what it can never find in other forms that are just as neurotic and lost as itself. When that wall comes tumbling down, the mind can expand and rejoin its natural state and meet everyone there. This is what we don't get. We're trying to find our belonging through this little skeleton and skin. And it's not here. This is at best, a biotransducer. It's a sending and receiving channel. It's able to pick up the field and transduce that information into concepts and language and energy and transmit it. And then you're picking it up on your sending and receiving channel, and it's being processed according to your lexicon of concepts and ideas, and you're making sense of it. But there's a way where we can actually undo this confusion and ambiguity of language and meet one another in the immediacy of our deepest nature in this field. And that's what this teaching is about. It's about eliciting an experience that gets your little bird soul out of the cage and back into the sky. And then we can, as it says in Chan or Zen, then we can see one another with the same eye. Beyond right doing and wrong doing, beyond good and evil, there is this field. This is our holiness, but we get so caught up, right? The little constricted me is always looking through these conventional lenses of judging, taking sides, finding your in-group and the out-group, and everything gets modeled on this fragmenting, fear-based belief system of good and evil, right and wrong. And so the guru's game is to break you free of that. And what better guru than Rumi? Let's start with this one. There is a way between voice and presence where information flows. In disciplined silence, it opens. With wandering talk, it closes. So we're all about unobstructing the way, finding the way. You know, my mind goes to that, there's an Egyptian god called Upawat, and Upawat literally means opening of the way. And I don't know if you remember this, but back in 1994, this is quite an aside here, but it just popped in, so I'll run with it. In 1994, Robert Bauval, who is an engineer by trade, but also an amateur Egyptologist, Robert Bauval wrote a book, The Orion Mystery. I don't know if you're familiar with this. And he actually examines the Great Pyramid of Giza. And the Great Pyramids are just anomalies. Like, we can't even figure out how they did any of this. The way that they are so set on, magnetic north and fine-tuned, and the tons of granite stone that were moved from hundreds of miles away and stacked hundreds of feet in the air. We just can't even do that today. But to the point here is, in the Great Pyramid, which never served as a cemetery or a tomb for the pharaohs, it was considered to be an initiation chamber. And one of the things that happened was that you look at the Great Pyramid, and going through the masonry are these two star shafts that you enter the king's chamber, and right at the king's sarcophagus you have two star shafts, and they go out into constellations in the stars. And the great find of Bauval was that he saw that the Giza complex of the three pyramids, you had two big pyramids and then a small pyramid off to the left, and that literally reflected Orion's belt. And what they also found was that there was a star shaft that was blocked, and so they were going to send up this little robot to find the way, and they named the robot Upawat, because it's this Egyptian god that is literally the opener of the way. And this is the initiation that Rumi was just talking about, that Upawat is opening the way between voice and presence so that we can reconnect to the field which encompasses everything. And we can literally see that heaven is being reflected on earth, just the way that the ancients knew this. As above, so below. As within, so without. This was the great rubric of Hermes or Thoth, the god of wisdom in ancient Egypt. So we are literally undergoing a collective initiation. Behold. Again, pyrotechnics in just a moment. And so this collective initiation is to recognize that there is no inside or outside. There is no above and below. It's the field. You're the self coming to realize itself through this form. But eventually, when you give up the fear, you're going to flow out. You're going to rejoin the vastness of the field, and you're going to realize yourself is the self arising in all beings. And then you'll find what you're looking for. Then you're going to be so beyond good and bad, right and wrong, you'll laugh at these conventional ideas and ideologies that at best are ignorance, at worst, sophistry and manipulation to hijack your opinions. So Rumi is giving us this way between voice and silence, and I like to keep that as a way of cultivation this morning, that as you're listening to the voice, let the voice trigger the initiation into presence. That's its job. It's to initiate you into presence. And presence is, like I've said, and this dates me, and many don't get the cultural reference, but I'll say it anyway. Going into presence is like taking the Nestea plunge. Hot day, remember the ad? Hot day, cold, icy glass of iced tea, drinking it, and then now you're going back into a pool of water. So voice triggers the plunge into presence. Relax. You have no idea how powerful of an injunction relax is. In Dzogchen, the great perfection teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, the first process of getting into the realization of Dzogchen, of the great perfection, is relax. You can't do it when you're like this. Let voice trigger presence. And this gets back to what Rumi's about to share, is this notion that everything is the teacher and the teaching. And when we are silent within, we can hear the voice of the Guru speaking through everything and everyone, right? When we have wandering chatter in our mind, or we're speaking wandering chatter, we close off the channel of that miraculous enchantment with nature and with one another. When we are disciplined in our silence, we open up the communication to this magic new dimension with no walls. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. I would love to kiss you. The price of kissing is your life. Now my loving is running toward my life, shouting, what a bargain. Let's buy it. In case you missed that last part, it's really God saying to the soul, I would love to kiss you. And in the Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, there is a technical term called the kiss of God. And when a sage gets kissed by God, it says that he literally has to leave this world. He dies into the Ein Sof, into the infinite. And so God kissing the soul releases the soul back into the field. So the price of kissing is your little life. Let God kiss you, you'll never be the same again. It's the great work. It's the alchemical marriage. You'll join God where God is. You'll be God in the oneness of that embrace. That's why in many of the esoteric traditions, at the very core of reality is the eros gamos, the sacred union, the sacred marriage of the cosmic father with the cosmic mother. It is relationship in its most intimate expression. That's what our soul is yearning for. But as we saw in our class last week in A Course in Miracles, you are only looking for God and don't know it. You're looking for this intimacy, this orgasm. But we're looking for it in fear and constriction and in need and clinging and codependency. Let God kiss you. And then he says, Rumi, again, the price of kissing is your life. Now my loving is running toward my life, shouting, what a bargain, let's buy it. In other words, once you begin to taste this possibility, there's nothing within the relative world or relative relationships that could ever keep you back from rushing into the embrace of your source. It's what you've yearned for, and you finally got present to it. You didn't know it, now you do. And there's nothing that can stop you once you know that's really what's missing. I just want to thank you guys, because one of the things that I've been present to for some time, and it's really showing up strong right now, is you give me the opportunity to receive this. Like, this has to be given. Like, this is the economy of grace. And true realization is what I want for myself. Like, we talked about this when we were talking about bodhisattvas and mind training and all of that stuff coming from those beautiful teachings on compassion in Buddhism. That in order to really find the love, you have to cherish others. You have to want for others what you want and give that to them. And in giving it to them, abandonedly, you receive it. And so you're giving me this opportunity this morning to strengthen these ideas, to brighten and clear my mind. So thank you. I truly mean that. It's one of the things that are packed into the expression of namaste, right? When we say namaste, it's, this universe, the sacred depth of my own universe is honoring the sacred depth of the universe within you. And as we do this with respect and mutuality, we literally give birth to a new expression of the universe that can actually be joined together, not kept in private worlds. Right? This is back to, are we in fear or are we in love? When we say namaste, we are wanting a universe of love and sharing. And in order to have that, back to the main point, we have to want for others what we want for ourselves. And this is the rub. Jesus says if you leave one person out of the equation, Like, I love you, I like you, but not him. If you have one person like that, even one, a politician maybe, somebody who's intruding, somebody who is annoying, somebody who is trying to take something. If you have one person like that, and you have anger, bitterness, or rage over that person, he's saying that is what closes your mind from the love that you want. That is very difficult at times to accept. Because in our constricted state, we are in fear. And fear needs to attack or run away to protect itself. That's natural, it's instinctive. So there's a part of you that is divine. And that's the part that we want to honor. That's the namaste. The divine in me honors the divine in you, which means that there gets to a point in your spiritual practice where you have to let those baser instincts pass through without buying into them. Be unshakable, unstoppable when it comes to wanting to succumb to the impulses of hatred or anger. So this is the idea then, that we are looking at a universe that can either be our best friend or our worst enemy. See, we can go into shadow like that if we are withholding our love from one person, right? So the point of all of this is to say that in order for us to really get what we want, we have to become uncompromising. Uncompromising. And if what we want is what we've been talking about, this expansive love that knows no fear and is completely fulfilled, and again, with lack of a better term, but it's been a rock and roll kind of morning, orgasmic. This orgasmic love with God, this kiss of God, then we have to set our priorities straight. What do you value more than that? What's going to last and endure more than that? That's why Rumi says, what a bargain. Let's buy it. There's nothing in this world that's going to compare to this. So then be uncompromising, which then immediately goes to the injunction of Jesus in the Course. In A Course in Miracles, he says, teach only love, because that is what you are. Be uncompromising in giving love to everyone. And you'll be surprised. Because one of the things that happens is we don't recognize the guru when the guru shows up. And just like with Naropa and Tilopa was really hard on Naropa. Like when Naropa went through major ordeals in order to break out of the ego cage. So the guru will show up in your world as somebody who really does kick your door down. Somebody who really does threaten your peace. Somebody who rocks you to your core. But if you're uncompromising, you will realize that this is the opportunity to move you into more of your authenticity. It's to get you out of the wrong place and into the right place. It's to get you out of settling in cold comfort. Again, a Pink Floyd song. Did we exchange, cold comfort for change? Hot ashes for I can't think of it right now, sorry. But this cold comfort for change, we sometimes hunker down in this unfulfilled resignation. And the guru comes And it comes as the disturber, as the trickster, to get us out of our sleep, to rattle our cage. And if we're really authentic and wanting to wake up, this will move us into our expansion, into our growth. Which brings us to the next poem of Rumi. This place is a dream. Only a sleeper considers it real. Then death comes like dawn, and you wake up laughing at what you thought was your grief. But there's a difference with this dream. Everything cruel and unconscious done in the illusion of the present world, all that does not fade away at the death waking. It stays, and it must be interpreted. So everything done here gives impression at your most subtle body. And when you die, you slough off the gross body of the physical, right? But you take your antakarana, your inner vehicle, your subtle emotional, mental body, your astral body, whatever way you want to call it, and you go into the higher plane. But you're carrying all of these impressions, the karma, the actions and the reactions of what you did in the body. And so Rumi's saying, just because you die, it doesn't go away. You have to now go through your life review. This is Rumi 800 years ago saying this. It must be interpreted. You must understand your karma, your actions, how they impacted people, how they affected people. Remember that guy, Dan Brinkley? He was one of these early guys that would go on Donahue and Sally Jesse Raphael. You know, I'm dating myself again. But Dan Brinkley was a military guy, real no-nonsense, kind of acerbic kind of guy, you know. And he says that one day his phone rang, and he answered the phone, and at that moment, lightning hit his house. And he literally got knocked out of his socks and died. And he died and left, right? Now he's in a subtle body, and he's going through his life review. And now he's a real bastard in his own words. And one of the things he really got clear on in this life review is he encountered the same life situations that he lived through. Now the veils were taken away. And instead of his own little selfish needs or wants or his own ways of thinking he was right and they were wrong, he got to feel everything that he said and did to other people as if it was being done to him. Because it is. It's yourself. This is the trip. A round trip journey in your head. You're a master of illusion. Your dream's alive. And so when he came back, he could not be that same person anymore because he got the impact of what he was doing to himself. That's what we said last week with the Lojong, the mind training to be a bodhisattva, an enlightened being. It's the most selfish motivation in that sense, where you realize the way to bliss is to cherish others because they're really you. What you give, you strengthen in yourself. So everything done here must be interpreted. All the mean laughing, all the quick sexual wanting, those torn coats of Joseph, they change into powerful wolves that you must face. So in the astral, again, a movie reference here. Remember What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams? And when he went into that higher plane, very much like the Seth material, you literally manufacture your own environment based on your own subconscious. And so you're interacting, again, with your own repressed feelings and energies. So whatever things we've done, they change into forms and creatures, and it's dreamlike. But we have to interpret it. That these were my energies, these were my actions, these were the things that I have done or was done to me. So then Rumi goes on, he says, the retaliation that sometimes comes now in this world, the swift payback, it's just a boy's game to what the other will be. You know about circumcision here, it's full castration there. Ooh. And this groggy time we live, this is what it's like, okay? In this groggy time, right, being this little self is, like Gurdjieff said, you're asleep. You're a machine. If you're just this little self, you're in a sleepwalker. You've been told and been fed and been conditioned what to think, what to believe. You're on autopilot. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Republican. I'm white. I'm man. I'm gay. I'm straight. All of these designations and groupthink that we are literally sleeping inside of. We're walking around groggy. We don't know we're the self. We don't know that we could be in the field, which is our home. Instead, we're in this groggy time here. And this is what it's like, Rumi tells us. A man goes to sleep in the town where he has always lived. And he dreams he's living in another town. In the dream, he doesn't remember the town he's sleeping in. He believes the reality of the dream town. The world is that kind of sleep. In other words, we're in the field, dreaming we're here as these little bodies. Now what's beautiful is the field is here. You just have to let your love flow like a mountain breeze. Let your love grow. Right? Sorry. Because when you let your love flow out, you literally realize, as it says in the Heart Sutra, that emptiness is form, or the field is form, and form is the field. The waves are the ocean, and the ocean is the waves. The field is this. We're here. Jesus says in the Course, heaven is here. There's nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. We're asleep, dreaming that this dream town of America, the body, past, present, future storytelling, that's real. That's the dream. We can awaken from this dream. Only those who sleep consider that real. Ooh. Listen to yourself this morning. You called this forth. This is you. Wakey, wakey. The world is that kind of sleep. The dust of many crumbled cities settles over us like a forgetful doze, but we are older than those cities. You're older than Mesopotamia and Sumeria and Atlantis and Lemuria. You're older than that. You're before the Big Bang. Again, Jesus has a beautiful teaching on time in the Course. He says the present was before time and will be when time is over. So now we plunged into time, right? We left the knowledge of the field, the gnosis of the oneself. As St. Paul says in the opening chapter of Romans, we turned away from the gnosis of the Creator and became lustful and driven into the creation. We fell into form, searching, lost in phenomena, in the picture show of the Imaginarium. And this is Rumi talking about how that spark of divinity that we are has already gone through a whole gamut of transformations of evolution. And we do this every time we come back into a human body, right? We recapitulate the entire evolution of all life, starting with the amoeba. As soon as that cell gets fertilized in your mommy's belly, you begin as the single-celled organism. And then you become the fish creature. Then you become the amphibious creature. Then you become the reptilian creature. Then you become the little piggy. Remember that part of the gestation phase of the zygote? You're a little piggy. And then you become a higher mammal, and then you become human. All within your DNA code, all of the information of all life gets recapitulated, and you are literally the living library of it all. You're it. You are the universe. It's right here. No, I'm a Republican. We began as a mineral. We emerged into plant life and into the animal state and then into being human. And always have we forgotten our former states, except in early spring when we slightly recall being green again. In Sufi parlance, spring is that satori, that realization, the aha of who I am. That's how a young person turns toward a teacher. That's how a baby leans toward the breast without knowing the secret of its desire, yet turning instinctively. Right? In order for voice to trigger presence, you got to allow this instinct to be. You already know this. You are this. But if we're up in our head trying to figure this out conceptually, this is where probably not even going to get into our Chan, maybe a little bit. But Zen or Chan Buddhism, you have to drop down into the lower Tantien or the Hara, as they say in Japanese, and feel this instinctively. Humankind is being led along an evolving course through this migration of intelligences. And though we seem to be sleeping, there is an inner wakefulness that directs the dream. Your dream's alive. You can be the guide. I'll be watching over you. And that will eventually startle us back to the truth of who we are. When you direct your dream, not to forgetfulness, but to remembering. As soon as you want to remember, wherever you are in your life situation, the guru's going to come a-knocking. Might not be what you're expecting, like we're saying, but that guru will come in some form to open you up to the waking. I feel like we've traveled to the center of the Milky Way and back this morning. This comes from the third patriarch of Chan, or Chinese Zen, Master Seng San. This is his famous book, Faith in Mind. Now, in Chan, when they talk about mind in the Chinese, it's sin, H-S-I-N. They're referring to heart mind. They're referring to the total core of consciousness or awareness that you are. And in Zen, they have in Chinese, the phrase wu sin. Wu sin means no mind. Better translated, thanks to David Hinton, it literally means absence mind, capital A, absence. And what that is getting at, without going into the long philosophy of it, is that it's the void mind. It's the Father's mind. It's the mind of God. So faith in mind means you are beginning to put confidence in who you are as this diamond-like awareness that lives in the void as your natural state and can manifest at will in multitudes of forms. So this way is Chan, right? The practice of rediscovery of this way is Chan. And that's why Seng San says the supreme way is not difficult. It's your natural state. If only you do not pick and choose. Neither love nor hate. And he's talking about lust or hate, right? Attach or avoid. Don't go into those lower drives of the animal mind. Neither love nor hate, and you will clearly understand. Be off by a hair, and you are as far apart as heaven from earth. If you want it to appear, be neither for nor against. For and against, opposing each other, this is the mind's disease and our current state of culture. In oneness and equality, confusion vanishes of itself. Stop activity and return to stillness. And that stillness will be even more active. And then finally here, only stagnating in duality, how can you recognize oneness? Duality is me, them, subject, object, John, everybody else. As long as I think that way, I'm stagnating, I'm stuck. And remember, I'm avoiding the true life that I am. And I'm going to feel that. I'm going to feel the angst. I'm going to feel the frustration. I'm going to feel the fear. And when I feel that, this is really important, last thing I'll say. When I feel that, I get angry. Really angry. Because I'm withholding from myself my own love, bliss, freedom, joy. But I don't tell myself that. This is where Freud really helped, because he gets brought into A Course in Miracles. I don't tell myself that I'm pissed off at myself because I'm doing this to myself. I want to be John. John is the most important person to me. I cherish John. John wants to get enlightenment. Isn't that why I came here? Can you please tell me how John could have a better life, please? John. It's all about John. And it's all about your name too. That's the duality. And it's a trap that pisses us off, all of us. If you're not aware of it, as you do these deeper reflective practices, you will be. You'll discover your hatred. You'll see it right now in your world. Maybe you hate, again, some special person out there. That's your hate. That's why that person can be your savior when you begin to listen and look for the guru. What you're going to find is that I'm hating myself because I'm withholding myself from this freedom. But I want to be John. So what I have going on in my life is I literally cast characters to come into my movie, John's movie, that I can hate. How perfect. It's going on out there. They're doing this to me. They're trying to take heaven from me. So I get to hate them. But remember, Dan and Brinkley on the phone getting knocked out of his socks? It's really you. It's all you. You're just displacing. Is this too deep this morning? You're just displacing your hatred. And it really looks that the illusion is real, and they're really doing that to you. And on the level of form, they are. But you called it forth. You don't want to admit you're stagnating. You don't want to admit that you're sleepwalking and you're groggy. And by being that, you're withholding reality from yourself, and you're hating yourself for it. And then all of that gets displaced onto that person out there, because you are never going to look at how you're doing that to yourself. So it's them. The good news is all of that can be over now. And we'll finish with this. Last one, I promise. Excessive talking and thinking turn you from harmony with the way. Cut off talking and thinking, and there is nowhere you cannot penetrate. No need to seek the real. Just extinguish your views. All of them, starting with the me. Do not abide in dualistic views. Take care not to seek after them. As soon as there is right and wrong, the mind is scattered and lost. So we just want to take a minute and just stop and become that wide open sky that your mind can recognize. It's just this openness in the present moment. And you can watch your views, you can watch your anger, you can watch whatever content is arising, whatever emotions are arising, whatever bodily sensations are arising. But just watch. Don't involve yourself. You're the open sky. And notice when that little voice starts talking as if it were you. Don't fall into the hypnotic sleep of that. Watch it. Extract yourself from that grogginess. That's not you. It's a phenomenon in your awareness. And it will pass if you just watch it. Give up your views. And as you do this, for the final few moments here, just remember that song that we read this morning, that when we open our minds, we're actually joined with, as it says in the book of Hebrews, the church of the firstborn, all of the great sages, all of the great masters, all of the illuminated beings that are in the field with us. So you can feel their presence also here. The angels and the archangels, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. Beyond wrong and right, there is a field. Meet me there. And as you bring your palms together at the heart, recognizing the spark within the Tathagata Garbha, the Christ light, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. So I ask you to give up your views. Now give up your cash. Blue bag's going to go around. Church and I are very grateful for your support of this service. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you can also donate by clicking on the link below. Thank you so kindly. If anybody has any feedback, any thoughts, Joe has a microphone. We'd love to hear from you. But please wait for the mic so those that are joining online can also listen in. Raise your hand. Very grateful for the offerings, and we just impress upon them the intention that they do good in the world, bring light and life to everyone that they touch in whatever form that may be. And so it is. Amen. Okay, my fellow travelers, you can rise and seal the deal. And again, allow the center of your gravity to drop just below the navel. Feel that groundedness. And from this moment, this origin moment, where we are the silent and the clear, we extend within time this message to all. That the light of God surrounds us. The love of God informs us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen. Namaste. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Course in Miracles tomorrow night, 7:15 in the classroom.